one long year, so much has changed and so many new faces highlight this year's edition of OU and Texas. Hello, everybody, and welcome into a Game Day U Red River special. I'm Dylan Rivera. Alongside me is Ashley Vandevelde, Carly Murray, and Parker Abels. Now, before we break down this week's game, let's rewind and look back at the highlights and lowlights from last week's game in Fort Worth. Things got started early after a Marvin Mims fumble and a pass interference on the OU defense. Max Duggan connects with Savion Williams for the 19-yard touchdown, and the party's just beginning in Fort Worth. Duggan again finds an open receiver. This time it's Tay Barber for a 73-yard TD ball. Not a great start for the Sooners, and the onslaught would continue. Max Duggan shows he can make things happen with his feet as well on this play. 67 yards to the house. Duggan turning on the burners. He'd finish with 418 total yards on the afternoon. One more score for good measure here. The handoff to Kendre Miller, and he'll get in on the 15-yard scamper. All right, now that the first quarter is over, let's go over some positives for OU from the remaining 45 minutes of play. Javonte Barnes had a great day on the ground, 100 yards and these 2 touchdowns. Barnes saw a sizable increase in touches with both Major out and Gray leaving the contest early. As we all know, the game wasn't a pretty one for Oklahoma, a 55-24 final at M&G Carter and a $50,000 fine on the way for TCU as the fans stormed the field. And here in a second, you'll see Super Frog right in the middle of it. So OU drops to 3-2, and this past Saturday had fans thinking back to OU football from the 90s, which is clearly not a good thing. Injuries played a big part in Saturday's game with Dylan Gabriel, Wanye Morris, Eric Gray, Billy Bowman, and Damon Harmon all suffering injuries that took them out of the game. Just staying healthy this week would probably be a win. Absolutely, Dylan. But the Sooners, as you mentioned, looked rough on both sides of the ball. On offense, OU did not come out firing, and the Crimson and Cream gave up 668 total yards on offense. Being at the game, I almost felt like I could just see it coming when TCU was going to go and score that touchdown, and there was just no defender downfield, or the play was misread on OU's defense. It was difficult to watch.
Absolutely. After the Kansas State game, we thought it couldn't get any worse, but that's exactly what happened last week against TCU. The offense couldn't get the run game going, and you have to get the run game going in order to get the passing game going. And the defense, they couldn't tackle. There were too many penalties and blown coverages. They just weren't playing well.
Yeah, I mean, you guys said it all. That was the worst performance I've ever seen out of an OU team. I mean, I grew up in Oklahoma. I've been watching them for a long time, and I was shocked with what I saw Saturday. I've never seen anything like that. But on a positive note, I think Brent Venables will turn it around at some point. Maybe not this year, but next year and going forward. He's going to be a good coach. All that said, we, just like the OU team, turn our attention to Texas. Now, if you haven't been to an OU-Texas game, the consensus is that you will never go to another game quite like it. How many games can you think of where the stadium is truly split down the middle? OU wide receiver Marvin Mims says you have to be mentally and physically prepared to play in a game of this magnitude.
I mean, it's probably the wildest game ever playing. I mean, half orange, half crimson. You know, it's a great game. Probably one of the hardest games you'll ever have to play in, like from a physical standpoint. You're going to leave tired, dead, sweating, feel like you can't walk. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's going to be the most fun you've had all year.
Dylan Gabriel was 7 for 16 in his time out on the field in Fort Worth. We saw him overthrow guys and not make some great decisions. We still don't know if he's going to be starting at OU Texas this weekend or who will be QB1. But Jeff Levy speaks on bettering Gabriel's accuracy.
I'll say it again, this guy's as hard on himself as anybody could ever be, so he'll get it cleaned up and get it right, and I got to do a better job of putting him in positions of success early on in drives to create some layups and create confidence as we go through it.
The Oklahoma defense has been struggling with the new defensive scheme under Ted Roof and Brent Venables. And with those issues, it's affected the overall basic fundamentals, open field tackling, zone coverage, and overall communication in the secondary. Brent Venables says it all starts with discipline.
You know, it can be being inside as opposed to outside. It can, being underneath as opposed to on top of. Just, we got to play with better discipline. That's where it all starts. If we don't do that, we'll have the same kind of inconsistent results. In the first 3 weeks, I thought we played with really good discipline. Last 2 weeks, not as much.
Yeah, that's something the Sooners are going to have to work on. But at Big 12 Media Days earlier this year, I was able to ask both Brent Venables and Texas head coach Steve Sarkisian about the Red River Showdown, and they're both excited for what's to come in this historic rivalry, and they have a lot of mutual respect for each other.
most storied and tradition-rich rivalries in all of college football. Played in the great city of Dallas in that Cotton Bowl. A lot of history and tradition there. I know that rivalry very well, and what it means to so many people, the intensity and the emotion of it, the momentum that can come from that game, and everything has its time. But we go head-to-head a lot for obvious reasons in both recruiting and in program development. But I'm looking forward, without question, as I know they are as well, to going down that ramp.
Texas head coach Steve Sarkisian has a lot of respect for Brent Venables and believes the future of the Red River Showdown is in great hands.
Coach Venables is a great coach. I think he's a really good defensive mind. His teams always play extremely hard. They're tough. They're smart. I think Brett is a really good motivator. He gets his guys ready to play. I think it's a great opportunity, myself going into year 2, him in year 1, that the Red River Showdown has got something that will continue to be special for years to come.
Coming up, we take a look at a yearly Red River tradition in Norman and preview how the rivalry could change with the move to the SEC. Welcome back to Game Day U. It's no secret that the Red River Showdown runs deep and for students here on campus, and they need a healthy way to take out their Texas hatred. Game Day U's Addie Crawford was there at the Wesley on Lindsay Street capturing the annual Bevo Bash.
I know it may be hard to believe, but this car right here behind me, it used to be completely intact in a totally different color, but after some students here at the Wesley on Lindsay Street took some spray paint and a sledgehammer to it, it looks a little different. Hook'em horns are fighting words around here.
Horns down, baby! Woo!
That car says, obviously, Texas sucks on it, and it's painted burnt orange, so why would I not just show up and destroy the thing?
At the annual Bevo Bash.
It's literally where we just paint a car orange and white, the Texas colors, put the horns down and everything on it, and we just bash it, and it's kind of a ceremony that we do before OU Texas weekend.
Students at the Wesley taking sledgehammers and axes and releasing their Texas hatred.
Just like, I want to, as much as I can, just beat the car, beat the crap out of them. I am picturing Texas as that. Like, if I could just destroy the state, I would.
I want to hit the doors off.
And if you're wondering where the car comes from,
and people park here without a pass after their 3rd violation, after they've been warned, we tow their car just to keep those spots open for the people who partner with us. And so because we give the towing company so much business, they've been kind enough to donate this car for us.
After all that smashing, they ended the night with a Bevo burger.
Gotta eat your beef on Bevo Bash.
Woo! Students, they did a lot of damage here. You can see remnants of the car all over the ground from them taking out their aggression on their hatred for Texas. Reporting from Lindsay Street, Addie Crawford, Game Day U.
Thanks, Addie. That looked like a lot of fun. A lot of changes are happening for the Big 12, and they are still, quote, open for business, according to new Conference Commissioner Brett Yormark. Obviously, both OU and Texas are on the way out, and the new commish has a lot on his plate. Game Day U's Hallie Moss has a look into Yormark's impact on the Big 12.
Today was our first look at the new Big 12 Commissioner, Brett Yormark, who's making his transition from the entertainment world to collegiate athletics. Yormark is best known for his previous role at Jay-Z's Rock Nation and being CEO of the Brooklyn Nets. And although this isn't Yormark's first time being involved in the sports world, he says this move has been a dream.
You might ask, why college athletics now? Early in my career, I put together a progression ladder. It started with working for the New Jersey Nets, and it ended with a vision to be in college athletics. My passion for the collegiate space was fueled even more so with my many years at Barclays Center.
With Yormark's past experience with brand deals and sponsorships, he already has some big ideas with the direction he wants to take the Big 12 regarding name, image, and likeness.
I'm an advocate of NIL. I've gotten my feet wet to some degree at Rock Nation. I think there needs to be guardrails. There probably needs to be uniformity. And maybe the conference needs to take a bigger role in what NIL looks like going forward.
And this isn't just a big move for Brett, this is also a big move for his family. I got the chance to speak with his children, Madison and Drake, who are very excited for their dad's new position.
Super excited. I think it's a big opportunity for the Big 12, and I'm excited for him to move out to Dallas and experience this. So.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this next journey for him. It's very exciting, very well deserved, and it's going to be a really cool experience.
And another thing we learned about the new commissioner is not only does he have a twin brother that he worked with while at Rock Nation, but he also played the drums back in the day. Reporting from AT&T Stadium, Hallie Moss, GameDay U.
Thanks, Hallie. Tickets for the big game came out a month ago, and many students had to go through resellers to get tickets. GameDay U's Dakota McDowell Wapakichi talked with a student and a professor about their difficulties securing a seat.
Yeah, guys, OU students have been preparing for the weekend down in Dallas because of ticket prices being sky high. They've been buying tickets from their classmates who have been selling it for more than face value.
I knew tickets were really hard to get, so I figured that they'd try to drive the value up as much as possible.
The tickets came out on September 6th and were originally sold for $175 plus fees. Students like OU senior Emily Land had to buy a ticket for around 2 times the face value just to experience the game once in college. She said that some of her friends have sold their tickets for almost $700.
So while it is even me, while paying $400 for a ticket that was originally worth maybe $175 is ridiculous. At least I didn't pay $690.
Price College of Business's Professor Jeffrey Schmidt said he doesn't know how students afford the supply and demand the game's tickets generates, but understands from the seller's side.
Many students have told me that one ticket pays for my entire season of football, so it's a good deal to get the ticket and then sell it to whoever will pay for it. Then I get to go to the rest of the games for free, essentially.
Now, the ticket prices have been falling from $400 to $600 down to face value again around $200 because of the 2 losses the Sooners have suffered in the last 2 weeks. Reporting in Norman, Dakota McDowell Wapakichi, GameDay U.
Thanks, Dakota. I'm glad we don't have to go through the process of buying tickets because I know that my bank account would not look pretty if I'm paying $400, $600. That's ridiculous.
I agree, Dylan. I was actually one of those people, though, that got the ticket and I resold it for a profit, so...
That's really smart. Well, I'll be sitting pretty from the press box, so I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, so will I be, but I'm really glad I didn't have to because, those selling can be high stakes, or at least it feels high stakes when you're going through that process. So I'm happy I wasn't a part of it this year.
It definitely does because you want the ticket, you want to be with your friends, and...
A real bidding war, right? Well, when we return, we'll break down the areas of the game that OU will need to key in on to get the win this weekend. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Game Day U. Dylan Rivera here with Ashley Vandevelde, Carly Murray, and Parker Abels. We looked back on last week and heard from the coaches and players. Now we're going to break down where OU will need to apply their focus this Saturday. Last week, simple coverages were busted like my brackets in March. Coaches call cover 3 defense and it's blown open. A defender is given the choice of defending a check down or the deep ball, and they chose to defend the short pass. Coverage has been abysmal the last 2 weeks, and play from the defensive backs has to improve in order for OU to win today.
Good point, Dylan. I mentioned the defensive battles the Sooners faced against TCU earlier, and it's critical the defense has its game face on in the Cotton Bowl. OU gave up 361 yards on the ground and 307 yards through the air against TCU. This cannot happen against the Longhorns in a rowdy atmosphere that will be even more difficult to bounce back from. And the Sooners will be facing a Texas team that is expected to have the offensive weapons of Quinn Ewers, Bijan Robinson, and Xavier Worthy.
Who will be playing under center is the biggest question heading into the Red River Showdown. On Tuesday, Brent Venables did not say that Davis Bevel will be the starting quarterback if Dylan Gabriel is unable to play. He did say that all 3 quarterbacks were taking reps this week, so we could see Bevel, Booty, or Evers. We have no idea what we're heading into on Saturday.
I'm excited to see which one plays, if any of them, but I'm going to stay in the backfield. And assuming Eric Gray plays against the Horns, the running back group could be the strongest OU has right now. The Sooners, to beat Texas, they're going to have to really rely on Eric Gray and Javonte Barnes. Barnes had a breakout game versus TCU last week, and Jeff Lebby said he's going to be a bigger part for OU this week. And probably going forward in the season.
Now, for the moment that makes you either a fan favorite or an enemy of the people, it's time for score predictions. I'm going to go first, and I know I'm probably going to ruffle some feathers out there. I'm going with Texas today, and I'm going to say 38-27 over OU.
I'm going to go with Oklahoma and say they take it home 31-28. I never thought Brent Venables was going to have a perfect season. I don't think anyone was expecting them to get smoked against TCU last week, especially after that loss from Kansas State. But I'm thinking the Sooners are going to be able to bounce back. Hopefully, that's what I'm thinking, and we'll see from there.
Well, I have to agree with Dylan. I'm going with the Texas Longhorns. I watched their game last Saturday against West Virginia. I know there's no such thing as a perfect football game, but they played great on all three sides of the ball. They had some solid defense, and Hudson Card, I know he's not starting on Saturday, but he was chunking it. So we'll see what Quinn Ewers has to do.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to go with what we know now, and what we know now is Quinn Ewers is playing, and we don't know about Dylan Gabriel. So I'm going to go with Texas as well. I'm going to go 41-28 Horns. The Sooners are going to start out hot, I think, but I don't think the defense is going to be able to stop it. Bijan Robinson, Xavier Worthy with Quinn Ewers. I got to go with the Horns on this one, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Big Texas guy, Parker, I know that. And it's going to be a big game either way, but when we return, it'll be a whole new set of analysts with me here to break down the big matchups from around the country, so don't go anywhere. Hello and welcome back into Game Day U. I'm still Dylan Rivera, but now I'm joined by Amaya Ward, and Blake Mullen clearly coordinated their outfits there.
Did you not get the memo?
In between them is Jack Horan. We got the blue memo, so we're on the same page.
Okay, I like it.
We got a lot to cover, so we're going to jump right into it. First, we go out west, Utah and UCLA. DTR's gotten off to a hot start this season. Amaya, do the Bruins keep rolling?
Dylan, Utah brings far more toughness in production than anything UCLA has seen so far. Not only is Utah leading the Pac-12 in total defense, they are second in the nation against the pass and gives up just 111 rushing yards per game. Combine all of that with the toughness of the offensive line and the consistency of QB Cameron Rising, UCLA doesn't stand a chance.
Utah's defense is legit, and they will be able to lock up UCLA's playmakers. Clark Phillips will continue his breakout season and force UCLA out of their game plan. Cam Rising has been completing 68% of his passes and not turning the ball over. A big question I have is who can UCLA turn to if Jake Bobo is followed by Clark Phillips all game? I have Utah winning this one on the road.
This is the game about win streaks here. Utah has beaten UCLA the past 5 times they have played. On the flip, though, UCLA has the second longest win streak in the nation with 8. And for that reason, I think you're both wrong. Give me Dorian Thompson-Robinson and UCLA. I love what the Bruins offense is doing. He's passed for 1,200 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 1 interception this year. But that's not what's impressed me the most. It's the decision making. He's up 12.1% from last season in completion percentage, plus is 7th in QBR. I absolutely love DTR and the Bruins. Give me them at home.
The Volunteers travel down from Rocky Top to Death Valley to take on the Bayou Bengals in Louisiana State. Amaya, who do you have in this one?
LSU has that stout, nationally ranked defense, allowing less than 300 yards per game. After playing Auburn last week, the Tigers proved they can and will force turnovers when the opportunity is there. LSU has responded well from their Week 1 loss, and I don't see Tennessee ending their streak.
Tennessee is one of the most explosive offenses in college football, and LSU will not be able to stop them. The Vols are averaging 365 passing yards a game, and Hendon Hooker has been playing at a Heisman level so far. Tennessee ranks second in passing offense in all of college football. This game is going to be a blowout, and LSU does not stand a chance.
The atmosphere here, it's going to be absolutely crazy. You kind of wish it was like a 7 p.m. kick, but 11 a.m. works. I'm so excited for this game. LSU has been a lot better than I thought they'd be this season, but they're not better than Tennessee. Hendon Hooker is simply too good. This offense is averaging a NCAA high over 530 yards per game. The offense is too good. They're going to put up points, and they are going to make Jaden Daniels struggle. Give me Tennessee on the road.
Now, my sources tell me that here on Game Day U, we have a first today. To our knowledge, Kansas has never been in a pick'em segment game against an opponent other than OU. Today, we discuss, do the 5-0, 19th ranked Kansas Jayhawks survive another Big 12 opponent in TCU?
Kansas has been performing well, but all good things must come to an end. The Jayhawks had their worst offensive performance against Iowa State, missing 3 field goals while barely totaling 200 yards of offense. Things won't get easier against a TCU team that is 5th in the nation EPA per pass, and going up against a Jayhawk defense that is 82nd in defending the pass. TCU is a freight train, and I don't think Kansas is keeping up.
The win against Iowa State was proof that Kansas can make some noise in the Big 12. Their defense has improved from the beginning of the season, ranking 39th in the nation in rushing defense. Jalen Daniels has been playing out of his mind, completing 68% of his passes with 11 touchdowns and 1 interception. Kansas will win in a shootout against TCU.
Rock, chalk, Jayhawk. Give me Kansas at home. They've been the underdog in 3 of their last 4 games, now 4 of their last 5. And what they proved to me last week, Jack, you touched on it, their defense can win them football games. They only gave up 11 points to Iowa State, and Jaden Daniels is simply that guy. He has the highest QBR in college football right now. I love this Kansas team. They're going to get the win this weekend.
Now for the big one, OU and Texas, the Red River Showdown. Can OU right the ship in Dallas, or will Steve Sarkisian and the Longhorns get the win? Amaya?
Of course I'm going with the Sooners. Oklahoma's running game still works, and rotating the backs has also been working. The offensive line is solid. All they need to do is click against this Texas defense and come back to Norman with a dub.
Marvin Mims had 136 yards and 2 touchdowns in last year's game and will need to have a big game on Saturday. OU's defensive line will need to have a big game, and they are up to the task. OU contained Deuce Vaughn to just over 4 yards per carry, his second lowest of the season. The Sooners are also 10-3 since 2010 in the Red River Showdown. Give me the Sooners.
If there's one thing OU and Texas fans can agree on, it's you expect the unexpected in the Cotton Bowl. I absolutely love the edge that the Sooners have coming back from back-to-back losses, and the O-line has improved, and I think that is the reason they are going to get the W. Plus, one other thing I want to mention, I'm very worried about Quinn Ewers. He is coming back at the absolute minimum 4 weeks. I spoke to former Heisman Trophy winner Jason White, and he told me, he said, it's about the kids. If they feel good, they're good. I still don't trust him, though. This feels way too much like Sam Bradford in 2009. He came back. He got hurt again. Hopefully, Quinn can stay healthy, but I just do not think he's ready to be playing in this game. Give me the Sooners.
Well, that's all we have time for you this week. We'll be back next week live here in Studio A with a recap of the Red River Showdown and a preview of the right now 5-0 Jayhawks coming into Norman. For Amaya Ward, Jack Horan, and Blake Mullen, I'm Dylan Rivera. Thanks for joining us, and have a fun and safe game day.